Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I am Coach Rice, your host, and today I want to talk to you about the myth. One of the myths that I'm doing in my journal is the myth that I must be okay because I look okay. Have you ever been in a situation where you were approached by someone and they said, "Hey, how you doing?" And you go, "I'm fine," or "I'm doing well," or "I'm doing good." But on the inside, you have a little turbulence going on that you don't quite know how to verbalize. A lot of times we don't talk about things because we don't know how to talk about them. Or sometimes we don't talk about things because we don't know if someone is going to hold our precious cargo. Or sometimes we don't talk about things because we just don't feel like we want to share or let people see us in a certain way. Well, I'll tell you that thinking is not healthy at all. I recognize that. But it actually is interesting because you are feeling, you look fine on the outside, but on the inside, you're going through turmoil. But interesting, it shows up in how you respond to things, your decision making, and also your behavior sometimes. And we don't mean to, it's just that we're going through something we're not quite understanding ourselves at that time. Well, when you feel a little turbulence in your soul or in yourself, you may, look groomed, but you feel a little turbulence. Like right now, I'm on this podcast. I'm by myself. This first time I've been by myself in a while. I feel a little turbulence because I'm like, I like having somebody to talk to. But today I wanted to get on and talk about this because this is about, something I'm going through that I hope if I share, it may help some people. And that is I'm okay, but I'm not okay on the inside, but I look very well on the outside. I just recently, moved back to Chicago, from San Antonio to Chicago. And I saw myself, but, on the outside, I look very like I'm really adjusting pretty well. I'm going to see family. I'm excited to see family, and it looks like pictures I may have shared or things like that. Going to the beach, those are nice. Don't get me wrong, but I also have this inner turmoil that's going on, and I had to ask myself, what's really happening? Because I'm adjusting. Relocating causes you to adjust, even when you have actually grew up here. I grew up in Chicago, born and raised, but that doesn't mean that I don't have to adjust. That's what the interesting part about it is. And so when I got here, I was, people look at me, they honestly, to be honest with you, most days I feel like I'm really doing well. I feel like I'm adjusting well. I smile, I show up, I keep going, because that's what I do. But the truth is, the turbulence on the inside, let me tell you what it looked like for me. Part of it is grief. I grieve a little bit. Part of it is confusion, but part of it is very uncomfortable. And I'll tell you why. The hurting part of it is I hurt the the grief part. I'm grieving sometimes, the people I left behind in San Antonio. I often grieve that. I grieve because I had to move forward. It was abrupt. So that can mean you lose relationships because you're not in the same proximity. That can mean that you have, you know, um, people may not want to be around you anymore because you made them feel unsafe because the way the message was conveyed. Um, it's not intentionally, it wasn't intentional or maliciously done, but grief can find its way in those situations, and it makes you feel very, very, very uncomfortable. And you have to learn how to, you know, deal with the new relationship where it's long distance. That can be tough. I don't know if anybody dealing with that, but those long distance relationships can be really tough and and hard to deal with. And so um the confusion part, I'm confused because I I have well, I trust God's provision in this move. I really do. I believe it's his will and purpose. Um, that takes care of the spiritual part. But the human side of me can't ignore is this sense of feel like I lost a sense of purpose. And that's what confusion came in at, came in because I had a plan. And but I kid you not, I know in my heart, deep down inside, it's his will that I'm back in Chicago. Um, it's interesting because I imagine myself being in San Antonio doing total different things than what I'm doing now. But this version of myself in my life no longer exists in this journey that I'm in now. And that's confusing. Then I have the uncomfortable feeling. Deep down, I know I'm facing things I can no longer outrun. And that is the things that I have to do, that God has to deal with my character in certain areas. The hard things, but growth is mandatory where I'm going. And I recognize that. So I'm okay with it. But I kid you not, it's uncomfortable. But what keeps me going is the fact that I know deep down in my heart that I'm gonna be uncomfortable because he's pushing the envelope and it's okay. And I have to be okay with being uncomfortable when I'm growing. And so the reason why I talk about this because it can cause isolation, which I did not want. It can cause you to overdo things, overextend yourself, and I don't want to do that. So I had to seek help, and that's one of my things that I really. If you feel like you are carrying a silent pain beneath a polished exterior, I guarantee you might want to check out you might want to talk to somebody because venting is so important. When you vent, you get to hear your thoughts. You get to hear what you think, what you actually really think. And if you can have uninterrupted venting, this really taught me to continue to allow my clients vent, let it out. I want to know where your thoughts are because your thoughts drive behavior, behaviors drive results. And if I'm thinking in an unhealthy way, it's going to come out in my conversation. So this really helped me a lot because sometimes when you talking to someone, they disrupt your thinking and you actually feel like you corrected in the conversation, but you're really not. And so that's what I like to do is to allow people to think, let it out. I'm listening, let it out. When you finish, what do you need next? Because what did you hear yourself say? Those are the good questions. What did you hear yourself say when you said what you said? What did you hear? Now that you've been it out, because I kid you not, language is everything, wording is everything. The way you express yourself is everything. I had to ask myself, what part of me is hiding to keep others comfortable? Because sometimes we often do that. We're like, I don't want I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to talk to anybody about this because I don't want to be a burden. So I had to ask myself those hard questions. Where am I acting that way? You know, am I trying to force a sense of normalcy to avoid addressing what's really going on so I won't have to face it? I had to ask myself these questions now that I'm here and I'm just moving and shaking and thinking that, oh, is this what God want me to do? No, I had to take something in my spirit said, take a pause and ask these three questions. Because those three questions, guess what? It helped me to see what's really happening. I realized that adjusting is not what I thought I was really doing. I wasn't really adjusting in a healthy way. And I had to stop and pause and say, what are you really doing? What are you really doing? Uh, I wake up, I enjoy the hot weather, but I have to remember I have 4 seasons now. And so I have anxiety around this cold season approaching, if I'm being honest. Fear, I get fear sometimes, anxiety around the crime areas that I may go into. Because when I'm reminded constantly when I go to the South Side, I kid you not, when I go to the South Side of Chicago, I'm reminded constantly by people that live on the South Side, be careful. Every day, trust me, every day bring a subtleness, a subtle reminder of why I left to go to San Antonio in the first place. But at the same time, I'm reminded I grew up in Chicago. But things are different, but are they really that different? So I have to say, wait a minute, why am I having anxiety when I have a protector? You see what I'm saying? You talk about these things and you're like, wow. So I had to realize you got a protector. What are you doing? And then there's this unease of navigating family dynamics. That's another one. There's an unease because things have shifted since I last came, since I last lived here. And I'm trying to get back to normal. And it's not like that. It's not the same. And so, hear people cracking jokes about making derogatory comments. And I hear the whispers about, in the rumors, we have people that talk about rumors about why we moved here. We told them we moved here, but in why we made the decision, but they make their own narrative around why we moved here, and it's not the same. And so a lot of times that can be that can be painful. That's what a hurt come in at because here you moving, relocating to somewhere else, and you have these relationships of people you truly love that's gossiping and lying and spreading rumors about you can be very hurtful. But at the same time, you love them. But this is the reality that you have to face. And sometimes it's not easy facing that. It's not easy facing those things. And that's why sometimes you don't tell people things. It's because you don't want them making their own narrative and passing rumors around your precious cargo. Your precious cargo is your information that you're giving away. And and I think that's something we shouldn't look over, but I think we have to take responsibility of how we handle people's information, how we handle people when they're vulnerable with us or they tell us about something. We make up our own stories so it can fit our narrative, but it's really not. And so dealing with that, I had to really, really think about like I don't have all the answers. So I get why they may make up their own narrative because I can only give them a general statement, but at the same time, they're trying to piece it together too. So I have to give grace to that. But at the same time, I can't say it don't hurt. Um, you know, Meanwhile, I'm missing my family in San Antonio, wondering how those relationships will evolve in the future, really trying my hardest to figure out how can I be present more often so that I can continue to foster those relationships. Um, Everybody here in Chicago, they thrilled that I'm back. Don't get me wrong, they are excited that I'm back. But on the inside, you know, I feel lost. I'm gonna be honest, I feel lost. I keep asking myself, why am I here? You know, what is my purpose in this season, in this journey? How often do you do that? You ask yourself those questions. But here's where it get complex. It's not all that bad. I'm really truly excited about where I live, the neighborhood I live in, the, you know, I love the family gatherings I'm getting, connected to again, the, reconnections of friends, the the growth in my own community within the home I'm in. Um, it's really, that part is exciting, but at the same time, you have two parts going on at the same time, could be very confusing. But hey, it's cool because I had to figure it out. I had to go see, my therapist and say, what's going on? I'm having these, feelings and emotions, and I don't understand. People ask me how I'm doing, and my answer is I'm good or I'm well. Most of the times, sometimes, most of the time I am. And I got a joyful personality, so sometimes it's hard to navigate whether I'm actually feeling good or not. But I'm surviving. But I really had to address, hey, what's going on? But what keeps me grounded, honestly, is the fact that I know that God moved I'm walking in his will and his provision. I also have the faith of a mustard seed, which is keeping me going, and grace that I'm human to actually be going through this. Another question I had to ask myself is, hey, what what do you need right now? And that's what I need. I needed to talk to someone. So I called my therapist because I feel safe in that arena. And I feel like I could work from it without being judged, talked about my precious cargo, not spread it in the wrong way. So I talked to my therapist. And so the cool thing about it is I was able to navigate through those feelings and know that I'm human. But it's teaching me not to walk around and say I'm okay when I'm not. It's teaching me to really say, you know, I I don't know how I feel right now. That's okay to say too, because sometimes you don't know. It's okay, you know. Um, you always need someone you can be transparent with without losing credibility. You always need someone you can say the messy stuff to without them trying to help you polish it. You need someone that you feel safe enough to carry your precious cargo and carry it with truth and care. You need someone to say it's okay to not feel okay today. What do you need? You need someone that's not gonna talk about you behind your back. You need someone that's gonna be gentle, but give you wisdom in the midst of what you're going through if you need it. So I advise you, when you're going through something like this, stop saying you're okay and you're not. You don't have to be okay to be seen. The most powerful statement that ever could be made or gesture, is that you don't have to be okay for me to see you. And you don't have to be okay for me to be around you. And you don't have to be okay for me to continue to be your friend. These are the things that are important. And right now, we have to stop the facade so that we can get healthy. So I just wanted to talk to you about that today. Thank you for listening. And I hope this has been helpful and pray that you're able to, learn from it and grow and have a happy Monday. And I just want to share that piece of information with you.
It's your time to shine. Your journey to chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now. Let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.